Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Black Site Studio Terrain.
Hey guys, so welcome to A View and Brew with Gaz, Present Arms. So, hello all. Tonight we're looking at doing a bit of hobby. If you've been following our sort of recent posts, you see that we've been building up to doing a 13 days in 13 hours. Within that, we're going to be looking at sort of replaying an event that happened in Libya. The other night you saw Marty and G. They started doing some painting and they've asked me to do some more models as well, which we're going to add into the group, which is cool. So tonight I'm going to work on some of the, I suppose the bad guys of the scenario is probably the way to put it, which is sort of a form of militia. So it was a mixed band of a number of different groups. They all came together and they were looking at attacking a compound where the US ambassador was inside, along with a number of other sort of US agents for protection detail, another agent that was in at the time, and some various elements. They were protected by 17th Feb, who, to be honest, these guys could be used for as well. This first one I'm starting, he has what looks like, or what could look like, military fatigues, as well as being armed with what you'd expect as some sort of AK variant, probably a 47. Hopefully you can see this fine. I'll keep an eye on the chat room. Hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions when I get to them. But in the meantime, today I'm going to be using some of the contrast paints. I've got a second miniature as well, so I might change out at times. The reason I've got the second one is I know it really helps if you let them dry before starting sort of the next phase. Just to lay this down and sort of get started with it then, I'm going to be picking out, and I want to do the jacket. Now for this I'm going to be using the Citadel contrasts, like we've said, and this one's the Creed camo. Now I find that when I've used this in the past, it'll obviously vary by if you use the technical thinner, if you don't, but mainly I'm going to use it straight from the pot today. So I'm going to put that to one side. I've already shook it. And just an example, so if you're ever, I was unsure of which of the contrasts would come out like what. So I rifled through some of my sort of spares boxes, and I now have a selection of poor Germans that have valiantly given themselves up to being my point of reference for colour schemes. I think this is a good way of getting around some of the problems you might have, working out what it's going to look like on the Mini. So this first colour is this guy here. It's sort of an off, sort of one sort of like a green jacket look, what you'd expect to be on a veteran, an old fatigue jacket, and that's the colour I'm looking for. Hopefully it'll come out that way. I guess there's only one way to find out. So, you can get this lid popped, give it a quick shake, and we'll go from there. So I think the aim is to do around 60 of these bad guys. I currently have 13, so I've got some work to be doing over the next few weeks. And who's ahead of me? Pretty much everybody. So, load up the brush. Now, I will say, I am no painting expert. I don't normally do feed stuff, so this is all new to me. So this might be a learning curve for me. If I'm doing anything particularly wrong, I'm sure I'll get a message. Unfortunately today, because I'm still setting up stuff, being in the UK and G being the subject matter expert over in the US, we've managed to do some setup work to get me up and running. But things like YouTube and the other formats other than Twitch, I don't currently have eyes on the chats for. So if you find yourself messaging in one of those formats, I apologize for today until we get me in the loop. I won't be able to respond to those specifically, but that's not going to be the problem every time. We're definitely going to be on top of that and get that all sorted, and I look forward to sort of interacting with the community as best I can. Now, I do like the contrast paints, I'm not going to lie. I know people have a mixed bag with them. I find that, you know, I struggle sometimes with things like light source. And what I say by that is, this is already giving me my highlight points. So if I want to go back in and smooth this out with another colour that is a layer paint of some sort, be it GW or one of the other ranges, that's not a problem. And if I just want to, you know, a good point of reference for any of the minis, this is the way to go in my mind. If you're a beginner, if like me, you just struggle with that sort of part of it, and what I do like to do, or try and do, is what I'm doing now. Just pull any excess from places, just to try and get a better finish, really. By doing that, it means I have less work to do after, but also you do have a bit of time with these before they start staining. It's one of the advantages of using shades and such. I think that's a key part of everything that we do, is trying to make things easy for yourself. And definitely, you know, yeah, you can get out your comfort zone. There is times to do that, to grow in the hobby if you wish. And there's so many great channels, lots of different people now that do great content to help you and advise you on what you want to do. To be honest, there's like an event coming up near me that's a company called Siege Studio, and they're going to be looking at doing sort of a one-on-one. I would say one-on-one. I don't know how big their team is. They have a number of places. It's at a local club. You pay for a fixed amount. You go there for, I think it's 7 hours each day. And regardless whether it's actual one-on-one or if it's a sort of a group of you in there and a couple of their guys teaching, they have some really high-end painters. And 7 hours each day, they're going to cover a load of stuff, which they've listed as part of their package. So everything from sort of making your own wet palettes, which is always a good idea, which I've won some alright, bit of sponge, what we call some greaseproof paper in the UK, or baking paper, stuff you use in the oven basically when you're doing cakes and such. You just buy a sponge, a set of sponges, the type you'd wipe down the sides in the kitchen with, lay them onto, well, I have mine on a Tupperware lid because it's got that nice indentation. That was me getting my hand in the way. See, I told you I'm no expert. Gets the nice indentation that the sponge actually fits quite well in. So really happy with using them now. It took me, again, finding somebody else that was using them before I'd even realised that that was an option. It generally keeps your paints live for a bit longer. Let's just change the angle of this light a little bit. There we go. Yeah, again, there's loads of small tricks in the trade of painting that we who, you know, do it for fun and just do it now and again, or do it when we can benefit from without really paying a huge amount of money. And so yeah, I need to re-zero that brush, split apart a bit. Now, I'm and ahhing about how far to take this, because I do enjoy painting. I do understand we're on a clock. So if you haven't seen some of the other episodes, there's actually a ticking clock on us. And that ticking clock's basically 13 days that we have to do the 13 hours. Now, G puts it up on some of the posts so you can actually watch it click down, which I don't know if you've ever watched 24, but do you remember the ticking clock at the end? If you have, I keep expecting to hear that. I had the same thing with Designated Survivor, actually, where every episode end, you're just so used to seeing the character and it phase out with the clock running that it was very similar in how it was filmed. And there was me sat there thinking, there should be a clock running here, as you do when you've sort of just lost yourself in the show. But it has that real similar feel to being the 24 series. Now, you'll hear my breathing and my talking change pitch and tone. Like now, normally when I get to something that's a bit more, trying to not muck it up. I apologise if I go quiet at those times. It's gonna happen. And interestingly, I've always wondered what we all have things that we say time and time again. My friend Jim over in the USA has some choice sayings that have turned into drinking games and such. Great offshot again, you gotta love it. Well, he has a shot glass in the merch now with it written on, so that when you're at home and if you want to take part, you can even end up sort of being worse for wear by the end of a show. Which, we don't necessarily approve, but we don't disapprove. Hey, you could just drink a lot of coffee, let's be honest. G loves a quality cup of coffee. Oh, hello, Erasmus. How's it going, man? Long time no see. I think, in fact, the last time I saw you, I think we were at Gen Con, sat outside a pub watching people go past on the back of vehicles getting drunk at mobile bars. Which, should be a thing. Most definitely. Cool. So, again, let's get this into a good shot, good position. So, happy to let that dry for now. I'm just having another once over, seeing if there's anything I just want to pull. It's a bit too strong. Let's get a bit out of there. Let's get some of that away. The good thing about this stuff is it actually layers well if you do a second one. So if I want to go back in and deepen shadows, I can definitely do that. Hope to see one of them shot glasses someday. Well, you never know. You never know. Also known as Cleveland. All right, very cool. So I wanted the look of a veteran. Let's just put that in focus a bit better. So just with that one layer, you can see that the paint is doing a lot of the work for me. I've got dark spots, light spots, and I can smooth this out with a layer green if I need to. But I'm keeping in mind we're on the clock, so to speak. We have got 60 to do, maybe more. So we'll have to go from there. I've not been to Cleveland. I've been to a couple of places in America, but it's mainly been Chicago. Where else have I been? San Diego. Did San Diego on the opposite coast. There's a very nice beach. I did SeaWorld, because I know that came up quite recently, which was very cool. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things you'll hear from me. Followed by yeah. I've noticed that already. So, moving on to the actual trousers, I wanted this particular militiaman to represent those that have got some military gear. So the idea I'm going with is, as we've done a fatigue jacket, then some lighter sort of new issue khaki style pants in a green. I'm going to go for a black headdress. And then we're going to have some, I love the fact this guy's in flip-flops. And I know Marty's particularly fond of bright colours and the fact that a lot of the guys are going into action with these flip-flops on. So we're going to sparkle them up with some nice blue. And then we'll probably do the weapon system, and I might finish with the skin itself. Still not sure about skin tones. Looked into the period, looked into the area. Lots of different guys, different parts of the country could have potentially been there. So I'm probably going to go with a lighter skin tone for the first guy. And then I can always darken it down then, rather than go dark and have to repaint it to bring it back up. So we'll see how it goes. See how it goes. Hopefully this is all playing okay and you can see everything all right. If either Novus Templar or Rasmus, if you could just give me a, yeah, everything's okay, as in you can actually hear me okay and see what I'm doing when I keep it in shot, that is. That'd be much appreciated. So not too worried about letting the top layer dry yet, because we won't be going onto it if I'm half neat. Now, yes, tactical colour schemes and such. Cheers, Rasmus. The guys have said that they want, yes, we're going as tactical as possible, but at the same time we're aware that this needs to be picked up by cameras. When the models are on the tabletop, when the compound's being attacked, there's going to be a number of different elements in there that might be similarly dressed. So we're trying to definitely spice up the colour schemes a little bit to make sure that we can easily identify on camera individual models. The good thing is G's got a great setup downstairs at their place, which I imagine is where they're going to be filming it. And the idea is to build the board and everything, so the project is from a ground up. If you've been following some of the other posts, you'll see the awesome work that Jim's done. He's been building a transit game, and that is to be played both before the initial engagement at the compound and after on the return route once they've achieved what objectives they can. There is some talk that the group was held up initially by the base commander. There is a delay of, I think it's about 35 minutes. So we're interested to see if that would have been a critical amount of time lost. Now, obviously we're very wary of paying respect to what's happened, because it is a tragedy. Anytime anybody loses their lives, it is. So we'll be making sure to do it in the best way possible. But yeah, it looks like everything's working okay. GA gave me a crash course in Twitch earlier, which was, well, to say I've got a notepad and there's a side of A4 full of notes shows how far away from being a Twitch master I am. It's really weird. I have a mechanical job on a electronic. So I work on helicopters basically, and yes, there's a lot of electronics on it. There's a lot of avionics, as we call it, should I say. And it just shows how little I've learned from my mates. I can use a fluke for those that know what it is, or a multimeter. So I've just done a bit more shadowing at the top for where the jacket sort of overhangs. I'm going to do the same here, because he's got the weapon system there as well. And on the inside of the legs, because I want to darken that down a bit so it does some of the shadowing work for me. Yeah, that's looking okay. Let's just bring that down a little bit. Cool. So let's have a look at it. So to be honest, the difference in green on camera is not as great as it is in person, as you can imagine, because the camera will only pick up so much. What I will do is I will do some photos though. But yeah, there you can see there's a transition in two different greens, from the jacket to the trousers. if I can keep it in focus. I didn't notice until I started painting him that I've actually got another section of sort of an undershirt here to do. So I need to have a think about what colour to do that. Yeah, I'm not 100%. We'll see. Oh, missed a bit in just under there. Cool. Right, so with that done, I'm going to move to the cap to allow the trousers to fully dry. Or should I go for the flip-flops early? That is the question. What do you guys think? Flip-flops or cap? Scared of the flip-flops, they're quite small. So it means a brush change and everything. Oh, so the blue I'm thinking for the flip-flops is this one, which is a Talisar blue. It's a really, really strong one. It is, let me see, it should be, let's just get this into shot, this blue here, which is really good for denim. Thinking of using it on some of the Walking Dead stuff, because there's a lot of jeans involved in Walking Dead, as you can imagine. Hard wearing, useful, pretty much everybody has them. So I've got that one that's going to be on the flip-flops, just the sort of the rim and the edge of them is the plan. Whether it stays there, I don't know. I feel like black might be a bit boring for the cap at this point, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I really like the contrast paints, Rasmus, to be honest. I'll just pull some excess out. It took me a while to even get them. I wasn't sure if I wanted them or not. I'm very old-fashioned in many ways. I think many hobbyists stick with the devil they know. But been branching out slowly. The airbrush is the next phase. Picked up just a reasonably priced one, just nothing particularly special. Just got a half decent. Well, the compressor's always needs to be a bit more money, to be honest. So I've got the compressor, got an airbrush, and picked up some spares and stuff. I actually went with the green stuff one because I think it's dual action, which is definitely something that I wanted from reading up reviews and watching videos. Because let's be honest, you can pretty much find out anything online now. It's just whether you trust what's being said or not. So I hit up John from On Tabletop, who's my go-to for sounding out with decisions relating to painting and stuff. Because I really love John. He's awesome, and we have the same sort of mindset about a lot of things. So yeah, I went to John, found out what he suggested as a start point that was affordable for me, and went from there really. But yeah, I taught G into the contrast paints. I think some days she curses me for it, and other days thanks me ish. I didn't make her buy them all, by the way. I want to make that clarification straight away. We went to a GW. It's not a huge drive, so she can't use the drive as an excuse that because we travelled so far, had to get them all. And yeah, came out with a full set, it seemed. Right, this is getting a bit too small for this brush, so I'm going to switch out. Clean that, wipe that, get the fat brush out of the way, put the skinny ones in, stamp it down, make sure we're good, that I'm in shot. So just gone down to a 4-0, which obviously gives me a lot more control. Just getting the excess water off, load it up. Now there's different things with this contrast that I've found. Don't get me wrong, I've not used every colour. Well, I have. Painting German heads to find out what worked and what didn't. What I will say around the bottom of these flip-flops that I'm doing just now, I can afford to be a bit messy because the decision's been made to go to clear acrylic bases. So the metal tab that this is based on will be removed at the end. It's just a really good thing to keep on. As you can see, it's on a coin as well. So that's the reason I've super glued this bad boy down to the coin. Gives me total stability, good control, and to be honest, I really like these handholds as well. The ability to maneuver it around with these grips is really good. I know there's quite a few. There's ones with like a metal frame for the expert painters, so they can hold high and support in different ways and hold around. It's amazing now what, we look at every part of the industry now. We don't just look at producing a game or a set of rules and a few minis. It's all the ancillaries and all the gaming aids that are coming into play. Love me a laser pen. I love the direct ones, and I really like. I've got like an army painter one that projects down onto the table, and it gives me clear line of sight references. I really like that. I think that's a great tool. It takes away a lot of the back and forth if you want to be a competitive player, and if not, regardless, it just makes life a lot easier. So I'm just going to slap this on. Started at the bottom on this bit just to try and keep the darkest, thickest section down. Let it highlight itself essentially. Now, I think I'm supposed to run for 2 hours. G didn't really say. We could really start some Twitch wars here, I will say that. Yeah, weather and rattle cans, definitely understood. Definitely understood. Yeah, I kind of cheated a little bit the other day. I took my rattle cans and my models into work, found an area that I could just bag up, that I could well ventilate after I'd finished, and then continued to spray all 13 of these and a Sentry model for Marvel that I'm painting up for a friend of mine. It's one of the night models, I think. But that's not modern, so we're not allowed to talk about that. Shh. Don't tell anybody that I said that. These miniatures from Spectre I really like. I was trying to find a variety of sort of African militia, and I think I've got 2 MENA ones as well. So they're civilians. I've got 2 what I would call dickers, which are the guys with mobile phones that would be out looking for people transitioning through the area. And they really are exactly what you need for this game that we're going to be playing. I do like that. That blue does work really nice. I might have to tidy up around the foot just to make sure I get a good skin pigment. Same for the wrist here, I've just come onto it a little bit. One thing I found with rattle cans though is, I'll just change out this blue. Somebody gave me a piece of ice that I'd never thought of, but actually just come in really handy, and that was to run them under a hot tap. Not enough to cause any problems with it, but just warm enough to get the paint up to temperature. Something I'd never really thought of before. There's warnings on the side of the tin, I will state that it's 15 to 25 degrees, I think it is. But, when you pick up the can and it's cold, as in cold to touch, you do question yourself and you go, well, this is not going to work because it's not in the best format inside it already. So yeah, that's definitely something I've come across and started to use a bit more. So for the cap, I'm going to go with a contrast black. I'm also going to use this on the weapon system. So this is likely to have had a wooden stock, so I'll be looking at using it on the magazine. It's going to have a wooden part of the grip. Ooh, car going past. I have the worst sort of sound suppression in this house. If you heard that go past, I'm on the 3rd floor here as well. It just shows how poorly built this building is. But yeah, we're going to go with a bit of contrast black on it and see how we get on. I will say that I've found that using sort of the Chaos Black and the Corex White and some of the other sort of available, how to put this, when you go to your sort of DIY centres and you can get various cans, or if you go to your car places, you can get various rattle cans from there that are primers. They tend to be good for what we need. The greys, the blacks, the whites. Sometimes this is a bit too small. Let's go the other way. So I'm trying to get a good drag here. So my brush carries enough of a load to then not hold on to it too much, which it was. It was too neat, pretty much. The rattle cans, and this stuff seems to definitely work best for me with the GW stuff that it was designed to be used with. I know we're getting to the stage now with paints where it's about chemists, you know, are literally putting together a lot of these paint systems, so they're a lot less forgiving when you use something that's more generic, that's not been designed to use with them. But I mean, the other stuff's still pretty good. I just don't know how this lays on it, because it's been really designed to be laid on a grey and a cream. So if you're getting something else, then it can have an effect that you're not expecting. But the easy answer is get another 36, 37 heads, stick them on sticks, put them in a box, keep them as a visual reference, and off you go again without using too much of your paint. There's also some really cool stuff online. I think it was a Games Workshop store that actually, what did they do? I think they got the same base, sprayed it up in the 3 variants that are, you know, available from GW, or the 2 variants that are available from GW, and then washed them just quickly in contrast paints to give you a visual reference. These are now all over the internet. You can go on Google. There's loads of stuff, loads of places. 4 to 6 inch snow. I don't know what snow is, buddy. Not had it in this country yet. Not for a while. No, we got weather warnings. I'm in a part of the country where we don't really get that much of it, I'm happy to say. I've probably had the car frozen less than 10 times up to yet since the winter started and such. So we've probably absolutely cursed myself now. I wake up tomorrow and I'll have to dig the car out with a spoon. I hope not. I know the temperature's meant to be dropping. I know that we've been warned for some interesting weather, shall we say, that's coming up. So yeah, I'm not sure how to spray in that sort of conditions. I suppose if you've got a decent boot on the car, you can chuck a box in there, put the heating on the car, get it up to temperature. Especially if you don't have, another half that's going to complain that it smells of, well, aerosols. You might be able to get away with it. I'd certainly give you the temperature and the frame to do it, and then just shut the boot and then have to vent the car when you get in it, or you'll pass out on the way to work. So I believe this weapon system has like a grip that's made of wood. So I'm just looking to see. So I believe the stock's going to be all wood. See his finger on the trigger pull here, so I know that's going to be a metal frame underneath for this sort of variant. And I can see what looks like the bolt carrier assembly in the breech here. So let's just get a bit of work done on that. I'm going to call the stock about there. Line it up on top. So at least it's even if it's not quite in the right place. Can't believe there'd be wood on top because you got the iron sights and the sighting system. Yeah, and then there's a gap between his thumb and his fingers, which I need to get into. There we go. Yeah, when we have snow here, we're just totally unprepared for it. Just shuts everything down. In fact, it doesn't need to be snow, let's be honest, does it, Rasmus? It just needs to be cold. The amount of people that don't make it to work when it's had a bit of frost sometimes is definitely something to be wary of in this country. Just looking at the grip here, I know that the magazine would unlikely, because I don't know the weapon system that well, go into the... Yeah, the magazine would not go in the stock. I think that'll still be metal frame. So I'm going to go all the way up to his fingers. Cool. All right, let's get the back of the magazine. I don't know if Scotland's as bad. I've always wondered that, because they get snow every year. So they should be, you know, well aware of the risks, so to speak. I imagine the Highlands, when you know you're up in the sticks, and there's not much else about, and there's no way to get help and stuff, then they're actually a lot better at dealing with it. But certainly in England and the southern of England, where it's a bit warmer during those summer months, and even into the winter, we kind of fall foul of it very easily without justification. Cool. Alright, I need to get in amongst that. Let's bring it back into shot. I'm working in the small area between the gun and the body at the minute, which is why I'm probably just moving around the shot a little bit more, as I want to make sure I don't touch something that I shouldn't, which I probably have in multiple places. Cool. I will say that the cap now, see if I can get this to a better position, you can actually see now the colour change in the black on the cap where it catches the light. So what I'm going to just do quickly is this underside at the back. Let's just take some of this excess off the brush. That'll be where it'd be going dark. So I'm just going to put a little bit onto the back at the nape, sort of above the nape and the neck. Gives me a bit of shadow. Same for near the ears. Brim of the cap should be fine, but the underneath, I'm just going to do another layer there to make sure it's fully blacked out, which is cool. Yeah. So yeah, he's coming together. So we'll look at him now. So yeah, rocking them flip-flops. This will be the blue flip-flop guy. You know it will, won't you? Let's take that out, change the white balance a bit. So you can see that the sort of the rusticness of the greens now really does a lot of work for you. Certain colours are obviously going to do more than others. I've not tried the yellows on anything larger than those heads yet, but the character I've got to paint for a friend is predominantly yellow, so that's going to be an interesting test because we all know yellows suck for most paint ranges. Need to get a cheap airbrush because rattle cans and the snow don't mix. That sounds like a justification. Never mind a plan. I think you're definitely going down the right road there, Rasmus. What to do this shirt? I don't want to do blue again, and obviously I don't want to do black. I'm thinking of an off-white. Yeah, let's go with an off-white. I think I've got one of them jacked up ready. So I'm going to go with an off-white on it. So this is a white that has almost like a grey finish to it, which I really like because white's always a pain to paint. And I'll just bring up one time brush. So the off-white that I'm using is this one. You can see how the grey's held in the gaps, but it's left a really nice clean surface. And it's called, strangely enough, Apothecary White. I really like having the heads. In addition, because I hate searching for paints, on my shelf is the same order. That's the alphabetical colour order that all those heads are in, which I know Dawn will absolutely love because she's like way organised when it comes to her Star Wars Destiny stuff. So I know this message is approved by Dawn. Organisation. It's all about the organisation. Right. This is going to be a bit more awkward to get into, so rather than just jump straight in with paint on, I'm just going to see if I need to go smaller. No, I don't need to go smaller brush. This brush should be fine. Right, so let's see how this lays down. So I'm going to get a reasonable amount on. and go from there, really. Oh, I'd love to come over to Adepticon, buddy. I'd love to. The problem I've got is I'm in my last 2 years in the military and I'm saving up a bit of leave each year. Dawn and Gianna were kind enough to allow me to crash Thanksgiving with them, which was absolutely awesome. I ate turkey till I looked like one, which didn't take very long because I'm already of the right shape and proportions. I just needed to get the extra neck bit. And shot guns, and that was even cooler. In fact, that's where I met Marty. Marty allowed me to fire some of his hand weapons. G gave me an education in as many guns as she had, which is a lot. Not like the Ralph. I was Star Wars Destiny in that pub yesterday. Yeah, it was my mate's wedding, and myself and Mark, who are, well, I'm not in the picture. Mark and Dom, the person that's been married, went out with him to sort of celebrate a bit because we missed it all. I was away, and he kept it pretty close to chest as well. Yeah, I don't like that. It just doesn't do anything. It sits a bit flat in there. Might have to change that colour. So yeah, we were in the Irish pub for a bit, and then we went to the gaming club on the evening. Basically, we did about 8 or 9 hours of bloody Star Wars Destiny. I think I know my deck now inside out, which is saying a lot considering I barely knew it when I started. So yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it meant I missed the actual doing the podcast stuff, which was disappointing. But it's not like it's going to happen every week. It was just this one. I'm going to come back to that, so I'm going to have to re-blot that out and do that again because I'm not happy with the colour. I know some people will say, "Well, just crack on. It's 1 of 60. It's going to be lost in the field of dreams, so to speak, as they come as a horde across the grounds of the compound, or the even outside it before they went in the streets." One thing I've been wondering about is the colour of the skin. I don't know whether it's go to sort of a darker brown or a lighter brown. Still, I'm in an hour about that, but I am going to take a risk and go Skeleton Horde, which is a lighter brown. Yeah, unfortunately I brought the news to Dawn. I might have broke her heart in the process of saying that Star Wars Destiny is now gone. There's still another release coming yet though, which is, not crazy, but I think the 10th release is due out, and then it should fade away, which is not surprising. My mate Don did mention that it's been picked up by a firm that's known for selling off anything that's not massively profitable in individual chunks to make money, and then selling the remaining high profit elements of the company. So they're just, I don't know what they call them, but they just break down companies basically. So we're gonna have a go at the skin. I don't want to commit to the face until I'm happy with it. So I've got a nice convenient place here on the hand. This is not to say this will be the final skin colour, just that I want to give these a go and see what they come up like. Not sure. No, I'm not sure with that. I don't think contrast is the way ahead for me when it comes to skins. Let that dry a sec. We might be going back to some old school, not old school, but some layer paints, so to say. Might be digging out the old Kislev. Bit of Bugmans. Have I got any Cadian kicking around here as well? Bit of Cadian flesh tone. Let's have a look. And some Bugmans. So this is like a traditional GW recipe for skin. Try that colour and go over with the army. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I've not got any army painter here anymore. But I could use. I've got a Rikon flesh tone. I've got a sepia. Are you thinking of the brown? Are you? Admittedly, it's looking a bit better now it's dried out, which is one thing to remember with a lot of these contrast paints, is they do tend to be better once they've dried. I'm just looking at this shirt again though, and I really don't like it. So that's definitely going. It's just a question with what. How are we doing for time? Oh, not bad, 45 minutes. Shows G was dragging her ass when she did that model in an hour. Shots fired, shots fired. I'm going to be in so much trouble. If it weren't for G, I wouldn't be able to help at all. She guides me in everything that I do. So I don't know why I'm talking smack. It's because she's not here, that's why. So I'm just going to chuck a bit of Bugman's on. I want to see how it looks. Stick a bit of water on my palette to thin it down. Get a bit on here. Nice thin layer. What to go for? What's an easy access point? Still don't want to go for the face. Not the face. So, have I got a Reichland flash to... Yeah, there it is. So got the Reichland flash to go on after. Which foot? Which foot? Or should I do the hand? The hand's a bit awkward. Thinking the foot. Yeah, Ralph's with me. Ralph, Team UK. I'll go for the foot. I've thinned it right down. I've got to keep in mind skin pigment in relation to Libya. That's the other part of what we want to do. This is where I go all quiet. Concentrate, Danielson. Karate Kid's got nothing on me right up until I paint his toenails. I'm looking forward to seeing them start the table as well. I mean, we're all about the models and the transit game at the minute. And I think that's mainly to chew up the clocks so the guys know what they've got left to work with. I think, Ralph, you're doing some graphics and stuff, aren't you, at the moment? Which would be really cool. I did see a post on Skype that you'd put up. So, I mean, I'm hoping that people really enjoy it to the point they want us to have a go at doing the fight for the annex as well. Oh, cool. There you go. In the chat now, if you have a look, Ralph has kindly stuck in a link to some olive skin loveliness. Which is always cool. See, Bugman's always sits quite dark anyway. Just going to get a good second sweep through to bring the colour pigment fully flat. Oh, stop there. Cool. So looking back at the hand now, there's almost a yellowish tint to it. But like Ralph said, give it a wash. What do you think, Ralph? Reichland or Sepia? That'll be the next question. Not for batch painting. No, yeah. Is it one of them that's... Yeah. Mind you, I could have lined these guys up once, but I want them all to kind of be individually painted, if that makes sense. In fact, while Ralph gets back to me on the colour choice for the shade, flesh shade, so Reichland, yeah, I thought so. It's a team effort, this, you see. It's all about the team. Just like the GRS will be, because there's only 6 guys, 1 interp for the campaign. They all want to come on in one piece, as well as rescue as many as they can from the compound, which is part of it. So all I've done here is I've just grabbed a bit of Screaming Skull, which I've been dumb enough to go to the shop and then forgot to buy the colour match for the Wraithbone. So I'm just going to recolour the shirt because I didn't like the grey. Effect of the apothecary on this particular part of the model. I mean, it's always tough to call it. I know the guys said that they wanted the models to pop, so I might just chuck a clean white on it with a grey undertone. I think that'd probably work a bit better. Let's just get rid of that excess. There we go. Cool. Alright, so I'll let that bad boy dry. And then we'll come back and have another go at that shortly. So, red shirt. Oh yeah, red shirt might work actually. Yeah, I can see a red shirt. Got the blue. Yeah. Let's be honest, I'm not sure how colour coordinated the guys would be. Right. So, a bit of Reichland. Obviously, it's a shade done by Citadel. Just going to keep it reasonably. I've not thinned it down, I'm just going to bang it straight on. And get it to hold in the gaps a bit by loading the brush a little. Sweet. I'm going to run the knuckles and the fingers. Make sure I get the fingertip. Go underneath. That's tip, I said, by the way. For you of hard of hearing that are now cackling away. We'll have a go at the bottom as well. In fact, with this one, I just need to narrow the brush a bit. There we go. Let's move that around. The good thing with the shade, it's that light that even if I touch the blue, it's not really gonna... Oh, nice! I can see all these tootsies. You gotta know these toes. You never know when you might need to torture somebody and take a hammer to them. That was a random thought. Payback just popped in my head as I was saying it. When he, at the end of the film, spoiler alert, when poor Mel gets hammered in a way he doesn't want, that doesn't involve alcohol. Actually, the Bugman on it is probably enough with Acadian flesh tone. Just shut that up so it doesn't. So this is kind of a light. This is actually almost a Caucasian now, actually. Saying what we did. If I just put a bit of more shade where I want it, not the fingers. That'd actually be quite good for just a general. I know there's Gulliman's flesh and there's some other contrast options when it comes to doing fleshes. So we'll look at those two. Yeah, it's not far off. Question is, would that... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix. I really like the foot. The foot's got the darkness without it being sort of almost the really dark skinned effect. It's got that nice pigment that says, you know, born in this area and it's sunny a lot. Whereas the top one feels a little less like that. The good thing is, because we went light with the top one, the Bugman's Glow will cover it very easily. And then I think a mix of Bugman's Glow and Cadian will bring it back to where I want it to be. How are we doing for time? Not bad. I'm just going to get a quick slurp. So if you hear somebody drowning on liquid, that's me. And as G always points out, a brew with me is not a Budweiser. It's not even a coffee. It's not even, what does she call it? And Marty's the same, bloody Lifer's juice. Running on black ooze, these people are. I'm surprised they're not pickled inside and stuff. They should live forever. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bugman's Glow, followed by Right Shade, followed by a highlight of a mix Acadian, Flesh Tone and the Bugman's. Decision made. Oh, cheers for popping in, Ralph. Have a good one. It's a good sign. Ralph hasn't shouted at me too much. That means I might not have screwed it up as bad as I thought we would. It doesn't help. I was pretty nervous, if I'm honest, before all this, because one, there's tech involved, of which, you know, everybody has the experience that they have. Two, I've basically built this setup in the last few days, which is just a lamp. On the advice of G, a Logitech 922. I think she has a 920. but the 922 had a darkness, helps with light balancing a bit better. So I actually went down that route. So at the moment we're just loaded back up with Bugman's Glow. I'm just going to go back over the flesh of the hand and then paint the other fleshy areas as a base colour. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be there for the game, which is really annoying. I'm sure the offer's open, but getting over to the US, bearing in mind the time scale and stuff. I wonder if they could. I've been invited over for American Independence Day, but I worry about getting in, being the enemy of that holiday. Back with a coffee. Life of juice, I think it is. Rasmus, life of juice. Those, I don't know, they're like connoisseurs of coffee as well. They do love well, I want to say a brew, but it's obviously not. I don't know what you call it in the US, other than a coffee, and obviously life of juice. I have so much fun when we go over because I have a name for stuff not only based on being from another country, but being from a certain part of my country. And then hearing, I'm so naive. It's probably the best way of putting it. Just go back in there. It's just a couple of white spots at the top of the ankle and the foot I've painted, so I'm just making sure I've got everything that I can. I really appreciate you guys taking the time today and having a watch with me. I know it wasn't really announced until the last minute because we wanted to make sure I was fully set up and not promise something we couldn't actually give. I'm hoping to do this pretty regular. I know that the team do Thursday nights as well as Sundays, so we're hoping to keep the content rolling. There'll be times when I'm deployed and stuff that unfortunately I don't get the same sort of signal in a field. Don't get me wrong, we've got the gear. I just don't think they'd want it used for this specifically. I could run it past them, see what they say. I'm pretty sure it would be a no. Yeah, there's a lot of countries I think are divided by common languages these days, but it's even the same country. I know one of my friends moved out. Did he end up in the end? I think it was Thailand or Taiwan as an interpreter, and he knew 4 versions of languages, but the area had maybe 12. Some of it was because, although it was the same country, the islands, different islands, and some small different religion changes and time changing their languages meant that there was a number of dialects that were all the same language, but everything was spoken a little differently. But very, very cool. The fact he could pick up on it. I don't know if it's true, but it's often said that those of a musical persuasion tend to be better at languages due to the ability to sort of read sound and stuff. I've got to keep looking up at the screen. At least if I'm in shot for most of it, I'll take that. I'm not even sure if you're going to get anything out of this other than my prattling. I do tend to waffle, which is a boon when you're sat at a table by yourself painting something on a screen, because I can respond to the comments in the chat put, but if I'm stuck on my own for 2 hours, then so be it. I can waffle away. Yeah, I do like the skin tone is good. So I think with a Rycon Flesh Shade, and actually the highlight, I think the initial highlight is just going to be with the Flesh Shade again, not Flesh Shade, with Bugman's Glow again, with just a small mix in of Cadian Flesh to probably bring it up a little bit. But let's get this face, because that should show it better than anything else we've been able to do. Now, one of my friends the one I'm painting the model for, did say that I find it weird that I hold the brush quite far away from the tip. He's coming back to the hobby having had a long time out. Yes, I was that guy as well. I think a lot of hobbyists are over time. Rasmus, you have 2.5 languages? No. Is that 2.5? Or do you have 2 half languages? Which means you don't speak a full one? Or have you missed the and out? But I don't know if it's a normal thing for, or where the best place to grip a brush is. There's loads of really basic things you never really, it's like holding a pen, I suppose. How you hold a pen will be very similar to how you hold a brush. Do I hold a pen like that? I have no idea. It's one of those unconscious things that you do, that when you're asked about it, you're not sure, because it's not a conscious thought. Concentrating. You can tell every time I go quiet, it's like I'm near something that I don't want to muck up. Just want to try and get a nice clean cap line. I don't know if I'm going to do hair on this dude. Am I overthinking it considering we're on the clock? That is the question. Because I know Marty crushed it the other night, as did G, getting what they needed to do in the time that they did. Well, oh, I nearly swore then. I was about to say shooting the sugar lumps. And the awesome thing with that one is they had Dawn rocking it in the background, getting questions on military hardware, and being as far from a military person as G and Marty are military people. Dawn was like, well, I don't know. But she did a great job of making sure that they were as much in shot as possible and got all the background stuff done at the same time. So it was cool to see the team works. It's like the Navy's motto in the British forces. That right. I'm gonna get the fat part of the neck because I reckon I can do that without screwing it up. Oh, I should not have said that. Do I go for it? Yeah, stuff it. I'm not willing to risk any more with that brush. I did an Army Painter boot camp at OTT, what was Beast War at the time, and they were always saying you always go for a smaller brush than you need, which I never really understood, but I have found to be pretty true. Hey, welcome Jim. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully I'm not butchering it too much. It's been quite fun with the guys. Ralph's been in as well. I've got Rasmus in. Who else have we got in? We've also got Templar in. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a session of talking rubbish. Seems that I've got a definite skill set in just waffling and waffling and waffling. But the guy's been helping me with some decisions, been chatting about contrasts, languages. By the end of this, we'll have put the world to rights. Usual Suspects, good film. So he's got a really nice skin color on him. I think I'll just bring it up just a touch because, again, keeping in mind the dynamic of the area, I didn't want what we had with the contrast, which was almost a Caucasian. Oh, he's got his thumb here as well. Oh, first slip. Oh, reasonable size one. Quick wet of that. Lick it, pull it, lick it, pull it. That could be applied to the wrong thing, couldn't it? How to lower the tone 101. Right, that's that. So the awkward bit, the collar here at the top goes quite deep. I think I'm going to have to go back in with a contrast for that. And this neck piece is next. Let's get this set in the shot. So this inverted V, the smart thing to have done would have been start with the skin, but because I wasn't sure about the tones, I wanted to start with something I was comfortable with, which now is leaving nice big teeth marks in my ass. There we go. Just come across the collar there. I'm just trying to keep it. So I'm painting, looking, because whenever I go to a sort of a strange angle, I tend to be out of shot. The good thing is I know the head's dry, so I wasn't too worried about pulling paint from the back. I'm going to go down the side of the neck a little bit as well. Ah, cheers, Jim. It was on the advice of G. It's actually like a webcam. Logitech 9. Well, she's got a 920. And this one's a 922. We are covering ground, I've said, but yeah, it was. It works a bit better in dark light, so it helps my room light diffuse the spot lamp that I've got. I've got a second spot lamp because I know I've got this large shadow here, but to be honest, as long as it's in shot and I can stick my hand behind it, so he's coming along quite well. I still don't like the shirt in the pale that I got, so I think might go down Ralph's suggestion of red. You'll be happy to know, Jim, I can give you a top-down view. So he's got you could I could take him off after, put him on a piece of card so you can see exactly what your top-down view would be for this particular one. Which would be quite funny. Black hat, like a veteran Vietnam green jacket, and an AK, and more importantly, the blue flip-flops, just rocking it out there so you can identify him. So happy with most of the skin. I just want to make sure I've got good coverage. There's a section in there. Fingers are good. Not that one. Missed a bit of the cuff there. I'll have to come back to that. This is where I get like Jim. Jim is awesome at making sure everything's spot on. And when it comes to filing down models and cleaning them up, I probably average an hour per mini. I think I've got 6 hours logged against the 13 models I've done here. They weren't too bad on mod lines and flash, and more importantly, I have this. So, total sidetrack from modern. This saves my life with metal minis. I tend to use it over the whole mini, although I've now found that on places like skin, because it's got a crested end, it can leave not a smooth finish. But, you know, you do this first, get all the mod line off, you do the old school, drag a blade on it, and smooth the skin back out. And these are, in the UK, these are about £3 or £4 on eBay. Pop top, double battery. I bought a set of these, I think it's like 30 or 40 in them, for about £6-7, so all in about £10-12, maybe 15 with postage. And it's just, let me find. So I need to find a test thing now. You look around, you've always got a model here until you need one, and then you've not got any available. Keeping with modern, got a 15mm guy. That's hopefully not ruining pulling him off the base. Let's get this blue tack out of the way. And you can see this is actually darkened down a bit actually, so this will actually be a good, hopefully a good visual for. So you can see you've almost got small striations going across, but for removing the bulk of stuff, especially on metals on him, the only place where I then did a drag to smooth it was the face. And no matter how stubborn it is, it comes off really easy with that, no matter how thick your mold line is. So yeah, for getting rid of flash and stuff, and mold lines. It's really good on metals, and it's quite good on plastic. Not very good on resin, we'll say that. Let's put my Panzer Shrek dude back. But yeah, talk about a bit of a tangent. Top view. Right, so I was on the skin, checking over, making sure we covered everything. 2 poses, 1-arm shooter and 2-arm shooter, pistol, SMG and so on, RPG, LMG and RPG. Alright, yeah, cool. Yeah, I was looking at the 2 of my guys are the LMGs for the 13 that I've got. I think it's, they were discussing it the other day, but I'm sure I heard reference or read the reference in the report, after action report, that there are RPKs, which is still an AK variant from my understanding. It's got a really long sort of barrel system on it, and has a drum magazine, which is actually what the guys in miniature form that I've got are carrying as well. I don't want to spend too long on the skin because I'm going to wash it, so a lot of the light areas will actually be washed dark as well, because we're talking about stuff in the recesses. But I'm wary of the clock that is always ticking. Yeah, happy with where we're at there. So quick brush clean. I'm going to switch back to the middle brush. Flesh shade. I don't know if to re-go over the foot because I touched the top. So the foot I'm quite happy with at the front. I'm going to just quickly lift and wash, making sure I've got some dark spotting to show there's contours. Pull that into, it was kind of a light spot where the flip-flop, I call them flip-flops, I don't know what you call them. Oh, I missed the toes. Tastes like chicken. Oh, Raglan Flesh Shades is not one of the better tasting miniature colours, is it? No, not enough on it. A bit more. Like I say, the good thing is these bases are getting snipped, so I'm overcommitting towards the base side of it because I know no matter how messy I am there, that's not actually going to be there when the model's finished. In fact, there's a good chance, because of the way his foot's made, with his toes going into it, that his toes won't even be there when it's been snipped off this base. Jim's lumping the RPKs and the PRDs together. The best way to tell the difference with the RPK drum, the drum is usually at a slight angle. Yeah, it was leaning almost forwards, looked like it's falling off. The RPD, older, the drum mag is always straight from below the receptacle. The RPK often has an extended curved mag as well. 45 rounds, that's cool. That's very cool. Belt fed. Oh, quick drink of the Coke Zero. Not a brew today at this point. I'm on the Coca-Cola. It's not even got the sugar fix that I need to keep me going. Right, so tidied up what I need to. I'm a person that needs to do it at the time, because if I don't do it at the time, and I must remember his toes now that I've done that bit at the time, then I'll forget. Back in shot, because you know that really helps when you're doing this type of thing. So I'm overloading a bit here because I know I can go in and pull it out. I am wary of staining, so one thing I will say with shades and stuff, you leave it too long and you'll get a stained edge. So I'll just pull this, there we go, take the excess off, pull a little bit out of the fingers, there's a bit too much there. Just took a little too much, put a little bit back in, just on the, so I'm just dabbing the gaps here to lose some of the paint from the brush. Sweet. Where to start with the face? So because my brush is going to go in loaded heavy first, I'll probably start with the actual face. It's got the most contours to work with. See how that comes out. So I'm making sure I'm doing like a downward sweep, because he's got his cap on, which is going to keep some shade. But as you can imagine, most of the contours of the features I kind of want an above shade with this guy. Pull it into the shirt. I'm just going to load it up a bit more for the creases of the shirt because his chin's jutting. It's a little too much. Take it back out. There we go. His chin's jutting out, which means we're going to generate some shadow. I pulled on that side, but I didn't pull on this one. So again, going to dab the ear. Need a little more because it's pulling it back out as I dab it. There we go. So we've got some shadow in the ear. Shadow in that ear. Got chin shadow. I've got the lines one side. Line on the opposite side. Top lip and the nostrils. Everybody loves a good set of nostrils. Just darkened out one eye. Darkened out the second eye. Not enough. Looks like he's winking. Need a bit more on the brush. He's pulling it back out, so I'm going to switch brushes to the smaller one. Cheers, Jim. Yeah, it's come along really nice. Like I say, the contrast paints do so much work for you. Cheers, Rasmus. Much appreciated. So literally just dab in around the edge of the eye here, trying to keep the contour of the brush to where so that the second eye gets picked up okay. Now I have done eyes before, even on the 15s, and I know G's got a good point when she says that a lot of the time you sort of you make them look comical. Not necessarily in reference to what I've done, but just as a generic. There we go, that's fine. Cool. So I'm going to go back in with the other brush again. I think that's true. You know, you got to be careful of. Some people can really do eyes well. They even do colours in them, which is crazy. You know, the skill set of some people. I like doing tabletop standard. That's where I'm at. I like an army on the board that is all to a good tabletop standard, which generally means the army looks good. I know Jim does some awesome work. If you've followed him on some of the other feeds and some of the other posts that have been done, you should see his armoured stuff and a lot of his military hardware. Oh, speaking of which, Jim, have you seen the new pre-order Brits for Team Yankee? I know it's World War III, which is obviously not your cup of tea, but the vehicles are the vehicles. Lynx helicopters, warriors, chieftain, not chieftain, Challies. There's a real nice mix in there. So I'm just darting in behind the ear because the cap will catch a bit of that and the ear itself. And then I just want the underside of the jaw. Again, just showing a bit of sort of darkness to it. Cool. Happy with that. Yeah, happy with that. So I need to come back and do the butt of the rifle. Again, wood grain's always a pain. What's Jim said? Oh, hell no. Other people's stuff is way better than mine. You should never put yourself down, Jim. Plenty of other people who do that around the world. You don't need to do it to yourself. I think you do some great stuff, buddy. I think you're far too harsh on yourself there. Right, so I need a brown. And I don't really want to use contrast. So what have I got? Doom brown's a bit too reddy brown. I want like a darker brown that I can then do pale sweeps on. I like this one. We'll go with that one for now, which is a Monfang brown. So we're looking at doing the butt of the AK. I'm still probably going to come back to the flesh a little bit, just do the final highlights. I want to keep the tone similar to what it is, and I've still got the shirt to do. But yeah, he's coming along nicely. I need to do a bit of work on the. There's a paleness that you can probably, yeah, you just catch at the corner there visually. Oh, wrong button. Wrong button. Wrong paintbrush. Right, now we're in 20 and I'm still on the first model. So in that case, my aim will be to be around 13 hours for my 13 models for 13 days in 13 hours. Oh, interesting times ahead, eh? Little things. So I'm just going to reposition. I'm going to come in. So this is very similar to the skin tone at this point. But we're going to wash it back as well. Rather than the Reichland, I think I might use sepia for this because it's a brown tone. Because of the hand position there, just off the table, it was only just in shot, but still getting used to having to look up a lot and then read messages. Yeah, there is a big difference, like you say, between World War III from Team Yankee and Conflict, which is very much a different ball game altogether, isn't it? I'm just going to do the foregrip. There's the magazine, so I'm just going to do a little bit of brown this side of the hand to have a contrasting point. There is a good level of detail in this, even to the magazine, but I'll be honest, just where that grip starts and ends. Sorry, well, not starts because I can see the start. Just that end point is a little more difficult to see. Got a light spot in there, which is the other side of it. So I want to make sure that is brown or where it should be. Yeah. So I've got the light spot. Nope. A little bit on the underside as well. Just come back to that, like I say. Don't forget the toes, guys. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. I did forget the toes. Toes on the rear. There we go. I'm just going to bang another layer on this actually to show off his lovely toes a bit more. Cool. The new professional letter overdue if any. Yeah. Yeah, Germany's got some of the equipment that the Brits have as well. The Gazelle aircraft are in amongst it in NATO, which we have worked on, that we use. So there's oh, shouldn't have changed brush. Got distracted. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, doing sort of a desert color scheme for them would be a real interesting project as well. If nothing else, it's a great set of tools for modern games. You know, this is what we're all about at the moment. Digging into what we can achieve with moderns. Concentrate, go quiet, come back. Having those options, I love the fact they get warriors, because with the stuff from White Dragon Miniatures that do British troops and they've got foxhounds and such at the similar sort of scale, having the option to put some warriors alongside them and some main battle tanks and even links. We've now got an option to do drops. You know, you can drop them in. The same for a lot of the other. That brown's worked really nice. It's because it's come up from the cream and specifically the Wraithbone. It's already started to highlight itself. And again, this is what I was talking about with the coverage over that Wraithbone. It seems to show through a lot better than a lot of the other colour schemes. Now, I'm just jumping back to Creed Camo, which is the jacket, because I want to do that top colour while I'm on a small brush. So I have cleaned the brush, if you can count sticking it in your mouth, or gob, as I would say. And taking any excess off it with your taste buds. There's probably a list somewhere online of the worst tasting ranked paints for those people of the you lick your brush persuasion. But maybe there's a top 10. Maybe that's what we could do. Top 10 worst tasting paints survey. Speaking of which, let's get the excess off. Yeah, cool. Happy with that. Nice. So I'm going to go back to the blue, tidy up the bottom. Hey, SitRed Podcast is on SitRed Podcast. How cool is that? Yeah, Rasmus, agree with you and Jim. Yeah, You want real sci-fi, real rails guns, real spaceships. Otherwise, half-ass is not arsed at all. That's where I find out you can't say arse now, just as I'm under the scrutiny of sitrep. Quiet time, concentrating. It's a good job that you guys can't shout at me, because this would be one of those key moments where somebody, some nasty piece of work, when you're right at the point that you're trying to do something in a little itty bitty place, would ruin your moment. Those blue flip-flops are an ode to Marty. Cool. Right. Actually, now that I put that layer back on that, it doesn't look as bad. So, should I do a brown? I'm just going to wash that, because I want to see what it looks like. But do I want to wash it with this? Yeah. I'm just going to brown wash it. So back to Ragland. Let's bring it back into shot, because otherwise it's pointless. He finds the camel green to be a little minty Russian in pedestrian, if not a chocolate after a donor flavour. Yeah, cool. Is the stream still on? That's not a good sign. Yes, it is still on, Jim. I will respond in kind by message. Uh-oh, sitrep 6 is on deck. It is a commercial break. What? Yes. I wonder what I'm going to come up at. How many commercial breaks do we get? I didn't know that. I've watched these as well. So, cool. There's two of us logged in at the same time. Alright, so I'm just going to dirty this up with a brown. Because we can't have him in lovely clean gear now, can we? Again, I'm going to pool it at the top. Because the shadows, the light point will be at the bottom here. So I'm just going to pull the excess off the bottom to give it a cleaner look. Which we've done. And then we're going to angle up and in and really darken down the top if I can load the brush up properly. There we go. And I can pull the excess off as I wish. There. So we've got a nice sort of mixed. It's made a bit more of a dirtier colour, which is cool. I'll probably bring it up a little bit with a bit of cream. Right, in the meantime, I just want to get that AK, I want to get a bit of grain on it. Just not a lot, just a little. I'm just going to lay a little Ushabti even. Back to a small brush. How are we doing for time? On the clock, 32 minutes left to go. It's all about the clock. Pull the excess off this. Just gently shuffle into shot better. And all I'm doing is just gently dabbing. Meh. Didn't like it. And that's why I did it gently. Prefer the brown. Go back to the brown. Instead, I will do the brown live on sitrep. Mistakes made and attempts to correct. So brown is good. Good is brown and brown is good. Then we're going to chuck in, we'll chuck in a bit of Ushabti because I want to keep the pigment right. When I say a bit, I am talking a bit. Cool. That should just give me enough to contrast with a nice harsh highlight on the edge. Harry Turtledove. I remember Harry Turtledove. I remember reading Colonization, I want to say. aliens invade. I think it's World War II, and the countries of the world unite against the common foe. I remember reading that as a youngster, actually, just as I was getting into books. I never really got into sci-fi as much as fantasy, unfortunately. Cool. One thing I will say is I probably should do a harsher highlight because, again, I'm thinking this is not going to show up under... It'll show up now because we're in a very good light. But in a games room, it's not going to show as much. The good thing is with the contrast, they'll definitely show. So I'm just going to bring that back up. There we go. So regardless, that should show in the light that we'll be looking at having. Sweet. Sweet, sweet. I'm going to go back in with your Shabti. Not Shabti. I think that one... Yeah, it was your Shabti. And just tidy up in there. Building up to finishing with the skin, I think. With still plenty of time on the clock for now. So... just gently, just pull a little bit from the pot. Keep it quite bright. And thin it down a bit. Yeah, it looks a lot more musty, a lot more sort of used, which is cool. Sweet. Got my Vietnam jacket going. Got some brighter new issue green trousers. Got a dirty t-shirt on. Got my best flip-flops on. Got my weapon system. No additional ammo. And I'm wearing a cap at night because it's not sunny. I am ready to go and invade a compound. I might be losing my mind. So, back to Bugman's Glow. I'm going to do a little bit of Bugman's. And we're going to bring up the skin tone a little. Oh, needs to catch up. Skullback, welcome. Thanks for popping on. Kicking shoes. I love the fact some of them are in flip flop. There's some great characters. Spectre really did some really nice characters when they've done these guys. If you've watched the one with Marty and G, the last episode, there's some great stuff in there about their favourite guys and stuff. So, gonna do a quick highlight on the skin. I've gone back to Bugman's Glow. So we've done a Bugman's Glow, done a Reikland Flash Shade. I'm just gonna pull it in an area where I can repair it easily, in case I'm not happy. So I'm just pulling each finger. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's fine. It's just a little watery, so I'm just going to thicken it up with some. Yeah, that's cool. So I'm just going to lighten it up a bit, and then I might just go for a final highlight with the a little bit of a mix in. So I'm just going to bring up the cheek, get the chin in, peak of the nose, gently touch around the top part of the lip on that side. Then I'm going to feather up the cheekbone. I'm not going to go near the eyes. I'm also keeping in mind of the cap. So again, just feathering up the cheekbone, pulling that side of the nose. The mouth, which is cool. Let's go up to top of his ears, to top. It's got some good ears on him, I'll tell you that much. Could be Will Smith, this. Might be his next film. Bear in mind, there's already been a film about this. That probably wouldn't have been his best option. And I've got 4 times fingers wrapped, so we got 1, 2, 3, for Mississippi. I don't want to go on the underside because it's going to be in shadow anyway. And then what have we got this side? It's almost got the sort of the thumb and the thumb joint. So he's holding it like so. I'll leave G to do the thumbnails because I know she loves doing them. I'll just do the basic paint job. So we've got the pad of the thumb. I'm going to leave the palm dark. So yeah. He's got a big old Swede on him. So it's coming forward from the neck. So I'm just going to highlight up right up to the temple. The cap covers a bit this side. Feather off the cheek again. Take the excess away. Just thin it out. So back of the neck's not covered. Anybody that's been in a sunny place and gets this U kit knows you get them stupidly massive sombrero size military issue kit. Jim will be all over that. We get shouted at because the first thing we do is take it to a local tailor who cuts it down to about a third of the size it should be. And we all suffer from neck burn within the first few days. I wish we hadn't bothered. But you look cool. Well, maybe not at the back of the neck, you don't. Oh, somebody loves me. Probably should have put that on silent. Note to self. Maybe it's important. I'll check. It might be G shouting at me. Hello, Marnie. 22. I wonder who that could be. Oh, I've got a messenger. I've got a message from Patrick Rickman on SitRep. So I'll have a check of that after. I love the fact that G did a full aerial display the other day and didn't know. That cheered me up. Which I watched. It's very cool. So down to the tootsies. This is the bit I'm scared of. Look how small they are. So he's got 6 toes. No, he's not. So 1, 2, screwed it. So 2 is now 2 and 3. 1 and 1. There we go. Let's get the excess from between the toes so they're all individual ones again. Cool. You can never have too many toes. It helps you swim faster. The Alpha 18s were awesome, yeah. I did like the kill where all I heard was, "Where the hell did I get killed from? He didn't even have a lock on me." That's all I heard. That cheered me up no end. Oh, it's lovely. He's got an ankle bone. I've got something to work with, which is really nice. So I'm just going to bring that out. And then, although the heel's under, I want the bottom of the heel to show a bit of colour. On this side, we've got all the Achilles tendon, which is right out the back, which is cool. So I'll do a fat heel to a small Achilles. Not that you can see any of this, so I could just be talking rubbish, just faking you all out. Thing is, a lot of us know the anatomy up to a point. And then you need kind of a visual reference if you're doing somebody that's a body. If you're doing, say, I don't know, if you wanted to do a modern remake of Predator, and you're going to do Arnie and all that, then the size of some of the guys as bodybuilders, you're going to need reference points, aren't you? So the top of the hand here is actually dark at the minute because of the shading. I need to bring it up because that's definitely going to catch light. And then I just want to feather that into the actual hand so that the bottom bit's darker, which is cool. Happy with that. Alright, let's have a look at him. So we have 1 times Guy. And we're pretty much there. There's a couple of bits on the face that are too light, so I'm just going to bring them back down with a bit of Reichland. How am I doing for time? I might not start the next one because I would like to leave as much time as possible so I can just smash through it in a wanna. So I'm just going to go on the underside of the jaw here. And this works really well with stuff like Northern Oil for stubble. If you keep it really thin, and just literally just build it up to shade it. Just going to do a little bit on his temple for the cap. Keep the cheekbone high. Happy with that side. Then do the same here. The other thing to do sometimes with this is do a layer, let it dry, especially with the blacks. It gives you a better reference point. I need to keep this in shot. The good thing is I've got a monitor, so I think my sayings up to here is, the good thing is, could be a drinking saying. Yeah, it's definitely one of the ones I use the most. Yeah. I was about to say it again. It's going to be quite a giggle, actually. The time absolutely flies by. That's the crazy thing. Especially when you just got one model in hand. I don't know how these guys on the casts and stuff do as much as they do in the time that they have. It's pretty amazing. I suppose you just get very efficient. I'm just going to put another bit of shadow. Probably going too far here. Geo shout at me, wasting time doing too much. And a little bit around the ears. So we're just remaking the face almost. Because we've done the highlight. Some places it'll have been right, some places it just needs a bit of darkening back down. The top of the nose I came too far. So I'll just darken that back a bit. Make sure the eyes are still dark. Do a drag there. Drag there. That's looking not too bad. I didn't get tone and nothing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Top Gun Maverick. I know a lot of people are in the air about it. Hey! Didn't mean that. Didn't mean that. Cool, so we're on. Happy with where I'm at the minute. Let's bring this up. So we're on a black cap. Skin's finished at the top. We're on a sort of used green jacket, as if he's received it off an old buddy. We've got our AK-47. I might just do a bit of work on the black there. So for that, I'm just going to grab a grey and a white just to make it pop just a little bit. Let's see what we've got in greys. I might as well run out the clock on the first model. Although that means if it takes an hour a model and there's 60 models plus friendly forces of what, like another 20? 80 models, 80 hours. That's a fair chunk of the days. But I'm not building the table, so it's not my problem. Greys. So let's see what we've got. I'm going to go with a... So I've got a Dawnstone and an Astromilitarum just to bring it up a bit. I think I'll skip the Astromilitarum. Yeah, I need something a bit darker, so I'm just going to go with a Mechanicum Standard Grey. Ah, it's great to hear, Masmus. Thanks very much. Well, the good thing is, these hopefully are going to be a lot more regular, therefore you feel like buddying up, getting your brush out at the same time that I'm waffling away. Feel free. So my aim here is I'm just going to do a little bit of a harsh highlight on sort of the tops of the curves, the iron sight, the top of the weapon system, the top of the magazine housing, and a couple of striations down it. For that, I've thinned out the Administratum Grey. Done a pull on the brush. Again, I'm using a wet palette, which gives me a lot more control. The reason I'm doing this is the sort of the Templar Black, I think it is, from the contrast, is a great tool, and it really gives you some nice points of reference to do the highlight. And up to a point, it does the highlight itself. So the magazine, I'm actually just going to go down the length of it across. There we go. But there's always a but. This is back to the. This is going to be in a games room, not like an LED lit hall. So the more pronounced we make it, hopefully the more it picks up on the camera. Ooh, nearly out of shot. Let's get the angle up. And that'll give it a bit more visual punch. So I brought up a grey, which is just noticeable. Just need to do the inside of the magazine. And touch up at the back here. Cool. So that's that one. Oh, that's a lie. Well, it is that one. Oh, cut across the camera. Nobody ever does that. Next I'll be shaking my paint in front of it. And I just want to do a vertical swipe here. Make sure that one's in the lower part of the magazine housing there. Cool, now for the nasty bit. Bit of white scar. Give it a shake. Cheers, Jim. Yeah, it's pretty much there, dude. I'm very happy with how it's come out. Again, contrast does a lot of the work for me. It is just a good tool. I struggle with light sources. It's a great tool for finding them. So use what works for you, should I say. So just pulled a bit of white scar. It's a layer. The idea here is, if I don't overdo it, just want to make this weapon system just pop a little. So it's going to feather in a vertical line, horizontal, horizontal. Another one that tastes okay, actually. I'm not looking for solids. Just looking for small light points, just to give you the anatomy of the weapon without overdoing it, hopefully, he says. You see a lot of this on the sci-fi stuff, but if you just build it up just a little bit, it's a bit like light catching, sunlight catching on metal. So I'll leave that side with that. Yeah, just dealing with a more awkward bit. Just gonna go diagonal there, a little bit there, and then just a little bit more on the top because that'll have multiple lighting points through here. Cool. So yeah, let's give it a little bit of colour. The underside I just need a little bit to brick. There we go. And on the front, bottom of the mag. Sweet. I think I am going to call her there. It could be a she, it could be a he. We're all gender neutral these days. So very happy with that, guys. I think that's needs a little more. You never finished, you never finished, you never finished. There we go. So I'm just going to give it a quick once over to see where I'm at. 50 pirates to paint before March. Definitely dipping. Start the colours and the dipping. Just get a really good set of pincher things to shake them like they see, because they always seem to do a poor job of that, and then get the paintbrush on after. Oh no, I've got a bit of green at the bottom missing and a bit of tar, and that's why it's worth just doing that last once over, because there's nothing worse than getting to the point you give it to somebody or put it on the table and you're like, oh, you missed a bit, because they have a good route round it when you thought you were done. But you're never done. Never done. So let's get it underneath. Oh, starting to shake. Not had a drink of pop for too long. That's all that. That's all good. Bit more shadow in there. Bit more shadow to split the shirt off. A little bit there. So that's fine. The jacket is definitely fine. The skin around the collar's good. Oh, one little bit of skin just at the top of the ankle. I've got Bugman still alive over here. Joys of a wet palette, everybody. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Simplest thing, cheap thing to make. You can do it yourself. Bit of greaseproof paper and a sponge. I use like a Tupperware or a tub lid to put it in, so it's almost like a water tray at the same time. That's that bit done. A little bit there. Mucked it. It's always going to be near the end. I'll rip the excess away. So straight to a wet brush, pull it in your mouth, put it on your skin, put it on a piece of paper, be it toilet roll, kitchen roll, whatever you want to call it. So that's that done. Just down by his toes here, a little bit showing between the fold of the flip-flop. Gotta love a flip-flop. It's gotta be the best way to go to war. Flip-flops, comfortable, cool for those hot environments. Maybe not in Norway or Russia or Siberia, but those hot weather places, mind you, saying that, you're going to stub your toe a lot. If you've done that in the house, it really hurts and it's really embarrassing. So skin, happy with that. A little bit of green's just folded over on that bit. Getting finicky now. Too finicky. Yeah, Rasmus is doing Adepticon as well this year, so that's the big gaming one, isn't it? From what I remember. Rather than sort of, it's more games and trade. Just tidy up the wrist here. So just going to shadow a couple of places that are obvious. Again, this is one of the joys, I think, of contrast. A lot of people only use them for the first coat, but you can chuck them back in just as you would a shade, and define some edge work, which is always nice. So I've got quite a thinned one there, so I'm just going to pull that. And yeah, again, don't take the first visual as being what it'll dry like, because it normally dries just a little lighter. So on the crease of the arm here, just going to go in there and then just feather it out a little bit, give it some definition. Under the arm there is going to be dark, so let's put a bit more there, a bit more actually under the arm here. Turned up, so let's darken this underside, which is fine, just underneath where the hand is. I want to give a clear definition between the butt of the assault rifle and the jacket, which is there. Just pull a little bit into there where the flesh has gone over. Same there. Crazy times. Well, I think I'm going to call it GTG. Or GTGG. Good to go to G. Good to go to. GTGTG. Wow, it's like a brain workout for me as well. So I'm at 19 and 55 minutes here in the beautiful country of England, the fatherland for those Americans. See you July 4th. So yeah, we've gone from a plane-based model using one of the North African Militia from Spectre Miniatures, GW Citadel mix of contrast paints. Ended up doing a lot of the flesh tone and the wood with their layer paint system. We've got a nice mix of greens, from sort of vibrant green trousers up to a well-worn sort of military jacket, an off-white give me liberty or give me death. I'll take option 2, Jim. We've done the AK. We brought a bit of colour to it, as in we brought it up to a grey from the initial black, and then we used a white just to pick out some details, and it really does give the weapon the effect that you can see. It's almost a glint to it as I'm turning it, and that suggests metal, which I really like. The black baseball cap was an easy choice because it's quite muted colours. I wanted the flip-flops to be the star of the show, which they definitely are, and yeah, really happy with how it's turned out. So thank you very much for those people that have tuned in. Cake or death? Okay, I'll take cake. That's an easy one. Thanks to everybody for your advice. Cheers for Ralph, who's popped in and out. Who else have we had on? We've had Templar on, we've had Harmony on, Rasmus, Ariskany. I've had Sitrep, which is probably G, keeping a close eye on me. It's been a great one. Novice Templar, yeah, cheers. You've been with us from the start. And I hope you guys have a great day, really. So thank you very much. Like I say, this is the first one of hopefully it's going to be quite a few that I'm doing, and keep with me, keep with the SitRep updates, everything from Jim's hard work, Ralph's design, G, Marty, Dawn, the whole team are putting it all together, and hopefully this is a game that you'll be able to play at home with your own miniatures. The scenario will be out there. It'll be a great time for everybody, and we'll love to get your feedback on that as well. So from me, thank you very much final one time, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Here's where a bit of something from our sponsors. Take care.
Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Black Site Studio Terrain.